You were not born to shrink yourself. You were born to take up space, speak loud, and walk like you own every damn room you enter. So why do you keep asking for permission to shine? You think confidence is some magical DNA trait? No, darling, it's built. Step by step, fall by fall. And today, I'm handing you the blueprint. Let me ask you something. How long will you keep waiting for someone to validate you? Let me tell you a secret. The world starts believing in you the moment you do. And if you're tired of hiding, apologizing, or doubting, get ready. Because these 12 steps will make sure you never shrink again. That voice in your head, the one that whispers, you're not enough, you're too much, or you'll embarrass yourself, that voice is not the truth. It's just an echo of every insecurity, every rejection, every accidental insult you've ever absorbed and turned into a belief. And here's the harsh truth. You've believed that voice more than you've ever believed in yourself. But today it's time to change the script. It's time to rewrite that voice in your head like your life depends on it. Because it actually does. You were not born with doubt. Doubt was taught to you. Maybe it came from a teacher who laughed when you got the answer wrong. Maybe it came from a parent who always pointed out what you lacked. Or maybe it came from those harmless jokes your friends made that you laughed off but cried about later. And slowly, that voice settled in your mind like a parasite, feeding off your confidence. But guess what? You don't have to keep living with that voice. You can evict it right now. Think of your mind as your personal studio. What plays inside determines what shows up outside. You don't play sad, hopeless music and expect to dance confidently, do you? Then, why keep playing self-doubt on repeat and expect to feel powerful? Start changing the soundtrack. When you look in the mirror and that voice says, you're aging, answer back, I'm evolving. When it says you're not good enough for this job, you say, I'm here to dominate it, not qualify for it. When it says, they're going to laugh at you, you whisper, they'll wish they had my courage. Let's make it real. Imagine you're walking into a meeting. Your hands are sweaty, heart pounding, and that voice says, don't speak up, you might sound stupid. But what if you paused and replied, even if my voice shakes, I deserve to be heard. That small change, it can shift your entire energy. Confidence isn't about having no fear. It's about speaking in spite of it. That voice doesn't vanish overnight, but every time you push back, every time you talk back to it, you weaken its grip. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall again and again. Do we scream at them? You're hopeless. You'll never get it right. No, we cheer them on. We say, you got this. Why don't we say that to ourselves? When you fail, when you're rejected, when you feel lost, you don't need punishment, you need encouragement. You don't need louder critics, you need a louder inner cheerleader. Let's take a daily life example. You get dressed in the morning and you feel off. That voice says, you look tired, nothing fits, you're not attractive today. Would you let a stranger say that to you? No. So why do you allow your own thoughts to abuse you like that? Replace it. Say, my energy is magnetic. I am growing. I am glowing. And I'm showing up for me. Even in relationships, that voice can sabotage you. You meet someone amazing and suddenly your head screams, why would they like you? Don't get attached, you'll just get hurt. But that's not your intuition. It's your trauma talking. Trauma wears your voice and fakes wisdom. But you can rewrite that moment and say, I'm worthy of love that sees me, not love that confuses me. And when it comes to dreams, starting a business, moving to a new city, speaking on stage, that inner voice might yell, who do you think you are? You answer back, I am exactly who I needed when I was younger. I am becoming the blueprint. You are not your thoughts. You are the power that chooses which thoughts to believe. That's the real flex. Confidence is born the moment you stop letting your past dictate your present. So next time that voice in your head tries to play small, change the tone, change the words, and change the damn story. Let's get one thing straight. Your flaws aren't your weaknesses. They're your signature. They are the brushstrokes that make your story raw, real, and unforgettable. You keep trying to erase them, hide them, tuck them behind filters and fake smiles. But the truth is, what you've been trying to fix might actually be the very thing that makes you magnetic. Confidence doesn't come from pretending to be flawless. It comes from owning your flaws like they're your armor. You've got scars? Good. That means you've healed. You've made mistakes? Excellent. That means you've lived. You failed? Perfect. That means you were brave enough to try. The people who try to act perfect, they're just scared of being seen. But you don't need to perform perfection. You need to wear your truth like a crown. Let's say you stutter when you're nervous. For years, maybe you avoided public speaking, job interviews, even conversations that mattered. That stutter became a shame, a prison. But here's the switch. The flaw is not in the stutter. It's in the silence it forced on you. The power comes when you walk into that meeting and say, yeah, sometimes I stutter when I'm passionate. Get ready, because I'm passionate about this. That's how you flip the script. You don't shrink your quirks. You shape them into your identity. You might be someone who overthinks. You analyze every situation, every word, every gesture. People say you're too much, but that same flaw, it makes you deeply intuitive. You see what others miss. That makes you an excellent leader, a deep friend, a visionary. The only thing standing between you and your confidence is how you define what you think is wrong with you. I don't say I think what others miss. That's what I do for living. That's why I think what I do for living. I don't say I think what others miss. I see what you change the definition, and suddenly you're not flawed, you're rare. Imagine being in a relationship where someone tells you you're too emotional. You cry at sunsets, you feel everything intensely, you've been told it's a weakness. But here's what they won't say. Your emotions are a superpower. They connect you to the world, to beauty, to pain, to healing. When others go numb, you stay human. And in a world desperate for realness, that is gold. You don't numb your light just because someone couldn't handle its warmth. Think about those so-called physical flaws. Maybe you've got stretch marks, acne scars, a crooked tooth, or a body that doesn't fit Instagram's definition of perfect. But who set that standard? Who decided flawless skin is beauty? Flaws are stories. Stretch marks mean you grew. Scars mean you survived. That crooked tooth, that's your mother's smile passed down. And that body, it carries you, moves you, holds your soul. That's more than enough. You don't need to fix your body, you need to fix your mirror. Even in professional life, flaws can turn into assets. Maybe you're disorganized, and you've always hated it. But in that chaos, you're creative. You don't follow straight lines. You create waves. That kind of mind can disrupt industries, start revolutions, change narratives. So stop trying to color inside the lines if you were born to draw outside them. You weren't meant to fit in a mold, you were meant to shatter it. Your flaw could be your accent. People mock it, misunderstand it. But that accent, it tells a story of heritage, of struggle, of resilience. Own it. Speak louder. Let your roots be louder than their judgments. Confidence comes from saying, "This is who I am. Take it or take notes." You're not broken. You're beautifully unfinished. And confidence isn't about waiting to be perfect. It's about daring to be seen exactly as you are. Not despite your flaws, but because of them. When you walk into a room, your energy should speak before your words ever do. I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about presence. The kind of presence that doesn't ask for attention. It commands it. The kind that walks in without apology, without shrinking, without waiting for permission to take up space. Because confidence isn't something you wear like makeup. It's something you radiate from within. And when you truly own your space, the room starts to adjust to your frequency. You've been taught to play small, to tone it down, to dim your light so others don't feel blinded. But playing small doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. When you walk in like you own the room, it doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. It means you are no longer willing to act like you're less. Picture this. You walk into a high-stakes meeting, and instantly you feel the pressure in your chest. Everyone's older, richer, more experienced. That little voice in your head says, "Don't speak unless they ask you. You're lucky to be here." No, flip that script. Say, "They're lucky I showed up. I bring value. I bring vision. I bring fire." And then walk like it. Sit like it. Speak like it. Because posture is power. Energy is loud even in silence. Think of an actor stepping onto a stage. Even before the first line is spoken, you can feel the confidence in their stride, their eye contact, their breath. You deserve to live your life like you're on that stage. Not faking it, but feeling it. Confidence isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's about being brave despite the fear. It's about telling your inner critic thanks for your opinion, but I've got this. Let's take a real life scenario. You're at a party, you don't know anyone, and you suddenly feel invisible. That's the moment most people shrink. They grab their phone, stare at the wall, wait for someone to notice them. But not you. You put that phone away, shoulders back, head up. You walk in like your energy is the main event. You smile, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're grounded. That's how you shift the room. Not with volume, with vibe, even in everyday spaces, like walking into your workplace, your classroom, or a family gathering. Don't wait for someone to affirm your worth. Carry it with you. Let your footsteps sound like purpose. Let your eye contact say, "I know who I am." Don't slouch into spaces. Step in like you belong there. Because you do. Imagine you're walking into a gym for the first time. You feel like everyone's watching you, judging your every move. But here's the truth. Most people are too focused on their own insecurities to even notice yours. So why carry shame that was never yours to begin with? Walk in like the gym floor is your runway. Own your pace. Own your sweat. Own your presence. That is power. And when you walk into situations that scare you, a job interview, a date, a public speaking event, breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Say to yourself, I've already won by showing up. That energy, that unshakable self-talk, that bold body language, it speaks louder than any resume, makeup, or outfit ever could. Confidence isn't about being the loudest. It's about being unapologetically real. Walk into every room like you've got a story to tell, a lesson to offer, and a fire in your spirit. The world will adjust. Because when you truly walk in like you own the room, what you're really doing is showing the world you finally own yourself. No, just that. No explanation, no apology, no follow-up. Just a bold, grounded, powerful no. Because when you say no without justifying it, you're not being rude. You're choosing your peace over people-pleasing. And in a world that trains us, especially women, to constantly soften, explain, and excuse ourselves, saying no becomes a revolutionary act of self-respect. You don't owe everyone access to your energy. You don't have to agree to every dinner, every favor, every conversation, every demand. You don't have to drain yourself just to be liked. And here's the hard truth. The more you explain your no, the more you're inviting others to negotiate it. You leave the door open for guilt, for manipulation, for emotional tug-of-war. But a confident no, set with calm certainty, shuts the door. It teaches people where your boundaries begin. Think about this. Someone invites you to a party. You're tired. Your soul is craving silence, not socializing. But you feel obligated. So you respond, I'm sorry, I have some things going on, I'm really busy, maybe next time. You over-explain. You over-apologize. And still they push, oh, come on, just for a bit. And suddenly you're compromising your peace. Now flip the scene. They invite you, and you respond, no thank you. Full stop. No guilt. No need to shrink. That's power. Because you're no longer seeking approval. You're protecting your alignment. Let's say your coworker asks you to take on more work. Again, your plate is full. You're already drowning. But because you fear being seen as difficult or unhelpful, you start justifying. I'm actually working on 3 other projects right now and I have this deadline, and before you finish, they're already pressuring you to just do this one thing. But when you simply say, I'm not available to take this on, you eliminate the space for guilt to grow. That's not cold, that's clear. Saying no without explaining is not about building walls, it's about building standards. It's about understanding that your time, energy, and emotions are not community property. You have a right to protect them. Think about your phone battery. When it's low, you plug it in, no questions asked. You don't run it to 0 to please someone else. Why treat your soul any different? Imagine being in a relationship where your partner asks for something that violates your boundaries. Maybe they want constant access to your time, your space, your phone. And when you say no, they say, why not? Don't you love me? That's the moment you stand firm. That's the moment you say, I said no. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough to not bend where you break. That moment, that's when you take your power back. Even in small, daily decisions, when your friend wants to borrow something personal, when your family expects you to do what you've always done, when society tells you what you should be doing, you are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to not explain that choice. Because behind every yes, you force, there's a little piece of you shrinking. And behind every strong no, there's a version of you growing, rooted, clear, whole. You're not here to be convenient. You're here to be complete. Let your no be enough, just like your yes is. The world may not always understand your boundaries, but they will respect the strength behind them. Because when you say no without explaining, you're not closing doors. You're finally opening the one that leads to your power. Fall, mess up. Stumble. Let the world see it. Let them talk. Let them laugh if they want to. Because when you fail loudly, you give yourself the permission to rise even louder. Not in silence, not hidden in shame, but bold, raw, brave. That's the kind of failure that forges greatness. That's the kind of failure that makes legends. You see, we've been trained to fear failure, like it's a stain that can't be washed off, like it's the end of the story. But it's not. It's just the first messy chapter of the part that gets good, real good. When you fail quietly, you stay stuck, you hide, you fake perfection. But when you fail loudly, you own it. You learn faster, you bounce back stronger. You say to the world, yeah, I fell, but watch how I rise. Think of a singer missing the note in front of thousands. The whole stadium hears it. There's a gasp, maybe even some mocking. But then they take a breath and hit the next note so powerfully that it shakes the entire arena. That's what it means to rise louder. You don't bury the fall. You use it as your launch pad. Or imagine a student who fails an exam she studied weeks for. Everyone else moves on, whispers behind her back, doubts her ability. But she doesn't hide in the corner. She walks up to the professor, asks for feedback, rewrites her notes, and retakes the test. This time, she doesn't just pass, she aces it. And every person who saw her fall is now clapping, because she didn't let the embarrassment kill her ambition. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the price of admission. It's the proof that you had the courage to try. You can't break records without first breaking down. You can't fly without first falling flat. And when you fail loudly, you give others permission to be human too, to try, to fall, to grow. In the business world, think of the entrepreneur who launches a startup and loses everything. Investors walk away. Friends doubt her. Her name trends for the wrong reasons. But instead of disappearing, she writes a post. She talks about what she learned, where she went wrong, and how she's building again. That's loud, that's real. That's how trust is built. Not by pretending to be perfect, but by proving you're resilient. Even in relationships, you give your heart, you trust deeply, and it doesn't work out. Maybe they left, maybe they lied. You feel broken, humiliated. People say, I told you so. But instead of shrinking, you show up. You heal in the open. You laugh again. You love again. You rise. Louder than the heartbreak. And suddenly, your pain becomes your power. Not something to hide, but something that inspires. Because here's the truth. Silence protects your ego, but loudness builds your legacy. Failing loudly doesn't mean being dramatic. It means saying, yes, I lost, but I'm not done. And the louder you rise, the more unstoppable you become. People remember how you rise, not how you fell. So don't whisper your way through the lessons. Don't let embarrassment rob you of evolution. Let the world watch your rebuild. Let them witness the rise. Because when you fail loudly, you don't just recover. You awaken the fire within. The kind that says, this was not the end. This was the ignition. You're not meant to be understood by everyone. And that's the point. Life isn't about fitting in. It's about finding those rare souls who see you. The ones who don't just clap when you win, but who hold your hand when you're falling apart. The ones who don't need you to shrink to be loved, but who love you more every time you expand. Surrounding yourself with people who see you is not a luxury. It's a necessity for self-confidence, self-worth, and survival in a world that's constantly trying to dim your light. You know that feeling? When someone gets you without you having to explain, when they look at your chaos and still choose to stay, that's the kind of energy you need in your corner. People who see beyond the highlight reel, beyond the polished smiles and into your soul. People who can tell when your "I'm fine" really means "I'm drowning." These are not just friends. They're soul mirrors. Think about the artist who paints with wild colors and bold strokes, pouring her heart onto the canvas. The world walks by, criticizes, misunderstands, scrolls past. But then one person stops. They look closer. They feel the pain, the story, the courage in that chaos. They don't just see the painting. They see her. And suddenly, she doesn't feel alone anymore. That one person is worth more than 1,000 who only applaud when it's trendy too. In the office, you're constantly performing, achieving, hustling. Everyone loves your results, but no one sees the late nights, the anxiety, the moments when you questioned your worth. But then there's that one colleague who says, "You don't have to prove anything to me. I already see how hard you're trying." And in that moment, your walls come down. Because finally someone values your effort, not just your output. Or maybe it's your family, where expectations are tight and appearances matter. You're the black sheep, the dreamer, the rebel. You're constantly asked, why can't you just be like them? But one day you meet someone who says, your wild heart is beautiful. Don't ever tame it. And suddenly you realize you were never the problem. You were just around people who never saw your magic. True confidence is born not just from inner work, but from who surrounds you while you're doing it. If you're constantly around people who minimize you, criticize you, or only tolerate the version of you that makes them comfortable, your light will flicker. But when you're around those who fan your flame, you become unstoppable. Look at the girl who finally walked away from a toxic friend group. The ones who laughed at her dreams, gossiped behind her back, and only celebrated her when it served them. She left. She chose solitude over fake support. And then she found her tribe. People who didn't compete, but uplifted. Who didn't laugh at her ideas, but asked how they could help. That's when she began to bloom. Surround yourself with people who speak your name with pride when you're not in the room. Who defend your soul when others don't understand it. Who remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. These people don't need perfection from you. They need your truth. They love your mess, your magic, your madness. Because they see the masterpiece forming, even when you're still in progress. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your evolution. Some people only want to see you small, because your growth threatens their comfort. So choose wisely. Energy is contagious. Confidence is built in the company of those who believe in you before you believe in yourself. Be around those who make your heart feel safe and your dreams feel possible. That's not just love, that's power. So after everything we've uncovered together, every flaw owned, every no said without apology, every failure shouted and risen from, every room entered with boldness, every toxic tie cut, and every truth embraced, it all leads to this one undeniable truth. You were never meant to be invisible. You were never made to live quietly behind someone else's spotlight. You were born with a roar in your soul, not a whisper. And now, it's your time to remember it. Let the world say what it wants. Let them misunderstand, misjudge, mislabel. That's not your burden to carry. You are not here to convince people of your worth. You are here to live it. Loudly, unapologetically, fearlessly. The greatest rebellion in a world that thrives on your insecurity is to love yourself without needing permission. So stop waiting for someone to validate you. You are the damn stamp. Remember this. Diamonds aren't found in comfort zones. Legends aren't born in silence. Warriors aren't made in approval. You build confidence not when life claps for you, but when you clap for yourself, even when your hands are shaking. Even when the world turns its back and all you have left is your heartbeat and your belief. That's when queens are made. That's when kings rise. You don't need a crown to be royal. You need courage to be real. Every single time you choose your truth over their expectations, your voice over their noise, your peace over their chaos, you win. That's self-confidence. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's simply this powerful declaration. I will not dim so you can shine. I will not fold so you can feel big. If I have to stand alone to stay aligned with who I am, I will. And I will stand tall. Let them call you too much, too loud, too bold. That's their way of saying you're no longer easy to control. Wear it as armor, smile, and keep walking. You weren't made to blend in. You were born to disrupt. To walk into rooms and make silence speak. To turn doubt into drive. To turn pain into power. To turn every scar into a badge of honor that says, yes, I've lived, and I'm still here. And maybe they'll ask, who does she think she is? Say it loud. I am enough. I am becoming. I am fire wrapped in skin, and I don't need your mirror to reflect my greatness. Let them say you've changed. You're supposed to. Growth is uncomfortable. Confidence is rebellious, but it's the only way to truly feel free. You don't owe anyone the old version of you. The one who said yes just to keep peace. The one who made herself small just to be loved. She's gone. She evolved. She's not bitter. She's better. And hear this deeply. Confidence is not built in comfort. It's built in choosing yourself every single day, even when it's the hardest choice to make. So walk tall, head high, shoulders back. Be the storm that doesn't beg to be noticed, but can never be ignored. Speak with fire. Move with purpose. Love yourself so fiercely that it intimidates those who try to break you. And don't just exist. Own every inch of your space. You were not put here to shrink. To every girl, every woman, every soul who's doubted their worth, questioned their power, or dimmed their light, this is your awakening. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. Unfiltered, unafraid, and undeniably unforgettable. And if the world still doesn't get it, look them in the eye and say, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be legendary. Because self-confidence isn't just a step, it's a revolution. So now, go start yours.